time for you to know and for us to start our show. Have a drink and take a seat here on Brewsic and Boozies.
3.
We're here tonight to discuss another movie with you guys. Welcome to Brewsic and Boozies. Woo! Applause.
Hope you enjoyed that 20-second song right before we started. Is it 20 seconds? I don't know.
I think it's like about 20 seconds. Our
Cool.
Catchy theme song. But we're here tonight. And if you didn't guess from all our clues around ish, we're talking about Batman, specifically Mask of the Phantasm. The Batman. All Batman. Is that the sound of Batman?
Yeah. That's what the penguin does in the Batman Returns. It's like, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
But yes, we are talking about the DC animated universe movie Mask of the Phantasm. Which is like I don't want to say it's a supplement, but it's a feature length of Batman the Animated Series, I guess you would call it.
It's a full feature film of the animated series, I would say.
Yeah. I
may be corrected on that, but I'm corrected on everything, but sure.
I think the original intention of it was for it to be the end, because Batman the Animated Series ran from 92 to 95.
Yes.
I think this was made in 93 and was supposed to be like an end to Batman the Animated Series, but that didn't happen. But I'm honestly not sure why. But yes, Mask of the Phantasm, when I was a kid, first of all, I am a huge Batman fan. I grew up loving Batman because I grew up with Batman the Animated Series, I think. And of course, we grew up with Tim Burton's Batman movies, which came out when we were kids too. So I grew up loving Batman. We had the Batcave, like a full size Batcave, Batmobile, Batman action figures. My brother had a Batman the Animated Series bedroom set. I probably still have the pillowcases and stuff somewhere in this house. I still have the toys. I should have pulled them out. But yeah, and I'm so glad HBO Max had the whole series. I know you have it on DVD, but
I do now.
HBO
I had
Max.
to go. I have it. I have the animated series on Blu-ray now. But what's better about this that is not on HBO Max, is not available. I believe they do not have the new Adventures of Batman, which is that last season of Batman. And that's with the redesigns of all the characters, including the Joker. It looks a little different.
They do, but they have it marked under Batman the Animated Series still, I think.
Oh, really? It's there?
Yes, I think so. But I think it's not called The New Adventures of Batman.
Oh, okay.
Which
I'm glad it's there.
I think my shirt is.
Yes,
more
that's it
that
right there.
Because that's the new design of Joker.
Yes, I could see
and
Bane is different there. Mm-hmm. Yes. Very cool.
My shirt's all.
And it's like I was like, so like I said real quickly, I binge watched that whole season this summer, or it was like early fall, September, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically in response to that. The new Matt Reeves Batman trailer just got released for that DC day they launched, and we were all kind of Batman hyped from that trailer. And I'm just like, all that reminded me of was like the old animated series, and I'm just like, I got to go out and just watch it again from the beginning. I don't remember too many episodes, but we were both of the age. I think you said you had all the toys. I remember it being on Fox Kids on a Saturday morning. Once in a while I'd catch it. And this movie, I believe I rented a few times at the video store, maybe at like or like a library. That's where I got all my movies pretty much when they were around. But like the good libraries, some libraries, they would have like, E.T. was the newest movie of that, and it was like 1995 or whatever year it was. So you had to go to a good place that would have it. Anyways, but yeah, I remember renting it, watching it. I think liking it. I don't think I loved it, but I'll give you the reasons for why I didn't love it. But I definitely liked it a lot because it was just Batman anything, and it was entertaining at the time. Like I said, I have fond memories of it and what it like, how it kind of just was like, okay, this was something for the Batman kids and for the Batman overall fans. I think there's a kind of a nice you know, like you said, this was trying to be something special and different that I think for us as regular fans didn't know what it was supposed to be. It was just a movie, try to just get us to like. It was released in theaters, I believe, too, right?
It was the very first, I think, DC animated movie to be released in theaters. First theatrical release. It's also the very first animated feature length that they did.
Could you imagine seeing this on a big screen?
Awesome. I saw
you
a story
saw it?
of. No, I wish. Actually, maybe I did. I don't remember, but maybe I did.
I might have. I don't think I remember either. I don't think so.
I remember I read something online that like Mark Hamill went to the movie theaters to see it, and he was on Christmas Day because it came out Christmas Day, and he was like, there was no one. He was like, it was short of a box office blast. Let me tell you, there was like no one in the theater.
It was going out on a limb. It was a TV show. It was a movie to take your kids to the theater to try and make a couple extra. You know, I think it was an experiment at the time, maybe a little bit more.
For sure. And I think when they set out to make it, it was not supposed to be a theatrical release. It was supposed to be a straight to VHS release, and they had to alter all the aspect ratios for a big screen.
Really? Okay.
So like it was really a rush and a crunch to finish this movie towards the end because they had to like literally make everything wider. But the benefit is also they got a bigger budget for this movie compared to the animated series because Batman the Animated Series was done old-fashioned animation, but the difference is they did everything on a dark black background, and that's how you get all of those iconic Bruce Timmons Art Deco darkness kind of style. But they got a bigger budget, so I think the opening scene of this movie is like a big flyover of Gotham City, so they were able to do stuff like that for this movie. So thankfully, it didn't do well in the movie theaters, but
I have a question.
They got to experiment.
Do you think after they realized it didn't do well, did it cause them to like maybe like it led them to a lot of drinking?
It led us to some drinking. What are you drinking, Christopher?
That being said, speaking of Bruce's, I try to get something a little more original this episode because I've been pretty much on par with what I've been making, as I mean the same exact thing. So I made something slightly different. I don't remember the website, but there are some featured Batman cocktail drinks that we saw some recipes for. So I decided to take it upon myself, and it has an iced coffee bourbon drink, and it is called the Bruce Wayne. So I thought that's cool, and I'm wearing a black shirt just like Bruce Wayne does in that movie.
You're very Bruce Wayne-y.
I think he does in every movie, right?
Oh, a black shirt.
I think if I had this a little bit higher as the turtleneck, I think that would just be the like cherry on top.
Michael Keaton,
right?
Batman. Yeah.
But yeah, so I am drinking the Bruce Wayne, which is basically coffee, iced, a little bit of bourbon, and also a little bit of syrup. That's about it.
Maple syrup.
3 ingredients, very simple, and I like it.
It sounds
It's
delicious.
like kind of like Batman. It's like, you know, subtle, pleasant.
I can see Batman sitting at his computer, pulling out the coffee, putting a little bourbon in it.
Yeah, it's supposed to have more look to it. Kind of looks like iced tea in a glass, but that's just because I don't know the glass I chose.
Like coffee.
Yeah, it looked better in the picture. Anyways, what are you drinking?
I have Hey Buddy Triple IPA from Moustache Brewing Co. on they're in Riverhead, New York. Yes, Riverhead. Well, they were in Riverhead. Unfortunately, this brewery just closed. I'm gonna show you the can. Yeah, COVID times have gotten them. I visited this place a couple of times throughout the years, and they did like a Rick and Morty run of beer.
Oh, cool! I know you like that show.
They did a lot of really cool things. Hopefully they'll be back. Very sad they closed. I'm glad I got to grab this one. But it's a good IPA. It's also 10% alcohol. That's pretty strong.
I said if you watched last week's episode, I think we can tell where the 6% level kicked in. I'm just kidding.
That beer was 11%.
I know, but I'm saying once you get to the 6% of that, and then the 11 really goes, it's like these percents go to 11. That's what I should have said.
I should have got to 88%, and then I went to the future. to the past, whatever.
Whatever.
But yeah, that's what we're drinking. If you can get your hands on Moustache Brewing Company beer, do so. They do still have it at some distributors in New York, and follow them on Instagram if you're in New York in the area, because they are very good. If they will come back, hopefully.
Thinking of that song now. What was that movie with Family Guy made that Western movie? A mustache.
Oh,
Million Ways to Die
I
in
can't
the
think of
West.
the
There we
name of it. Oh, yeah, that is it.
There we go. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we were back now to Bruce Timm and them making a feature-length film, and it was kind of a flop.
It wasn't. I don't think it was necessarily a flop.
It just did okay.
I think what they were trying to do was just so different. Like, because animated movies are in the movie theater all the time, but like this was something that like jumped from the small screen to the big screen relatively quickly in a time where that wasn't a thing.
I remember seeing it like a commercial on a different VHS that would advertise it, like we all saw for our kids' movies back then. That's like, you know, the Mask of the Phantasm Batman movie or something, and I would be like, I remember seeing it on, like, I think Fox Kids would promote it somewhere, like, you know, get the movie now on VHS. I don't know, or something along those lines. I can't remember, but yeah, I think that's where I would be interested. I'm like, oh, when I'd see it, I had to go check it out, but being a little cautious of wanting to watch it because I think it was just I wasn't the biggest Batman I wasn't the biggest follower. Like, I watched it when it was on. I love Batman, but I didn't have to like that. I'm obsessed with Batman. I was more obsessed with like Power Rangers, I think, at the time. Yeah, definitely that took over my life. So sorry, Batman, but trust me, I made up for it over the years. So
well, so I guess this kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about first was, and I don't know if you get this feeling too when you first start the movie, when the old school WB theme plays with Bugs Bunny.
I know. So I get this vibe from the Little Giants beginning. If you ever saw that movie.
I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Oh my God. So
it's
every
good.
time I see that, because it's like they have that little cartoon short before the movie starts, I think, or maybe it's like, is it before that? I remember that was a thing. So I don't know, somehow that I got connected to that opening. Just in general, they do it for the TV show too, but it's just like seeing Bugs come out in that carrot, the WB logo is so fun. And I'm like, I don't know. So
it brings me back to, we used to go to the Warner Brothers store in Manhattan all the time when we were kids, and they had like the coolest stuff there, and like they had the figurines, and like I just remember it being awesome. And it's unfortunate that doesn't exist anymore, but I still have like Christmas. I have a Batman and Catwoman Christmas ornament that's really cool, and a Tweety Bird ornament. I used to be obsessed with Tweety Bird too. Ornament from there, and like it was such a cool place, and it was like 2 stories, and it was like themed. It was like the Disney store, but for Warner Brothers. So they had all these like tchotchkes around that were like live-in fixtures. It was so cool.
That is cool.
And every time I hear that opening with the Bugs Bunny, it brings me back to that store.
It also just makes you think, like, Warner Brothers, they've done a couple things for kids. Like, what have they done recently for kids? I know that Tom and Jerry, like, I don't know. Anyways, but that's another conversation. But like, I remember Warner Brothers being kind of they had more for us back then, I feel.
Yeah, they were definitely geared more towards kids.
I don't know. They are coming back, basically rehashing everything we had as kids with like Space Jam and some other things coming back out. So
they don't have they can't have original ideas. So
yeah,
we
experienced it definitely differently than kids today probably do, and just like over the years.
I agree. That's unfortunate.
So you're saying, I apologize. I think you were saying the opening with the Bugs Bunny. And
no, that's it. I just wanted to bring up how it just makes me feel like a kid again, and like it brings me back.
That's a great.
And I'm glad you feel similarly.
I do. It's so funny how I think it's just, like I said, it's our childhood. We lived that, we were exposed to that at a certain time in our lives that it made us feel comfortable. And it's just like, you know, we were excited. Probably something stimulated us, like, oh, we're gonna watch a cool movie because it's Batman or something like that. And it was just like, we just can connect those two things together. And yeah, I get excited every time I see that for like anything now. Especially, it was like I think also like it was on every single episode of Batman. So if you ever see, or any of those shows, it was there. Special thing like they did for us. Thanks, Bugs.
uh, and then then after, like, you get that feeling from that Warner Brothers theme song. It brings you right into the Batman theme song.
Oh my God,
this extra special in this movie. Oh my God, it's beautiful. All
right,
Shirley Walker.
I definitely want to hear your thoughts about it. I'll leave mine in the end. It's very short, and I could just tell you that you go, and I'll just add to it because I definitely want to give me your full elaboration on the music in the beginning of this movie.
To me, it sets the tone so well. Like it's a play on the her own, because so to go back a little bit, Danny Elfman wrote the theme song for the series. Danny Elfman's very close with Shirley Walker, they composed music for every single episode of this TV show, which doesn't happen anymore.
She almost decomposed, if you would.
Decomposed, yes, because she like. Yeah. You have to explain.
Recomposed. Yeah, she had to kind of add her flavor, but keep that original main score in there.
Yeah, and so at one point they do transition in the show to her theme song, but she is the composer of the television show and the music. She also helped Danny Elfman on the original Tim Burton Batman movies.
I mean, that's not uncommon in big scores like that. This is just an example where they do something like that. Would be I believe it's Superman 2. Same thing. They used John Williams' score, the original score from the first movie, but that's not him in the second movie. That's his original score added by another composer who took over and did the rest of the piece of the movie. So they tell you flat out in the beginning too. It's like not John Williams, basically. It's like his original theme rearranged by this guy. I don't know.
That's funny. That's literally the credit, not John Williams.
He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna make this amazing thing, and then I'm good. You can take it and just have fun with it, and be the most iconic song in all of film. But yeah, anyway, same thing here. It's just like you have Danny Elfman's score, and then you have Shirley Walker, who came in and did the scores on the TV show, and then definitely added more to this film, which I think is really cool for us to hear different styles of her artistry.
Yeah. And I think with this opening, she took that Batman theme and she added this choir to it that it makes it creepy, because the villain in this movie is very scary and like creepy and like the Grim Reaper looking. If you don't know, if you've never seen the movie before, like she like kind of possesses the Grim Reaper type character. Like that's what she is. And I think like this opening with the choir kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like we're dead and we're in church and we're hearing this like choir singing.
Yeah. The character is definitely a Grim Reaper in this in a lot of sense, definitely. Yeah.
And I love it. And it's so iconic because as soon as you hear that, you know not only that you're watching Batman the Animated Series, because a lot of the music is kind of similar, but you know you're watching the specific Batman story, which I think is really important. Once you hear this Batman theme with the chorus, you're like, oh, that's Mask of the Phantasm story. Like I know where I am. I know what part of the Bruce Wayne storyline I'm in. The Batman storyline. What are your thoughts, Chris? Because I know you wanted me to give mine first.
That's really awesome what you said, and I'm glad you did, because I just remember it being almost terrifying as a kid. I remember being very scared when I heard that music, and also, but it left an impression on me. Meaning, like I remember, like kind of showing the tone of what Batman is about. Hearing that, I don't know what do they call that kind of choral music? They just say choral. I don't know. I studied music, but it's almost like a Gregorian chant, if you would, I think too. I don't know. Someone's gonna correct me on that too.
I think
but it's like it's got that style where it's
like some sort of chant. But fun fact, as in reality, They are not doing any sort of chant. They're actually saying the names of some of the musicians that worked in the orchestra backwards.
Right. So it's just yeah. So it's like I said, it's
they're
probably
actually
something made
chanting
up.
credits.
Well, and it kind of comes back to the famous John Williams piece for Star Wars Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, the Duel of Fates song has that same kind of effect on us when we hear choral music being added to orchestral music. It kind of just kind of wakes you up because it's not usually there. It's not in most pieces. So to hear this in a kid's film, and it's it really it's it's directed for us, but a lot of themes are adult, but still it gives you a sense of like Batman this was supposed to be taken more seriously. I feel.
I think it sets the scene that this is not this. Spoiler alert. I think we should do a spoiler alert for this one because there is a reveal at the end. If you haven't seen this movie,
almost 30
spoiler.
years and we had to spoil it now. No, okay.
But this does not end happy.
Here's to you, everybody.
Let us know if you haven't watched it and this was your first watch through of it. That'd be fun because if you didn't grow up with Batman the Animated Series and you didn't grow up loving Batman, then you didn't really, it's not like something that was on your radar and you watched. So let us know if you watched it for your first time as an adult and what you think.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that choir music and how scary it is sets the tone that this is not a happy story. This is not going to have a happy ending.
Nope.
And this story does
very
not.
Shakespearean
It doesn't.
Kind of
it
story.
doesn't end well for our villain. It doesn't end well for Bruce Wayne at all.
No.
The story sets up is a kind of it gives the backstory of Batman a little bit. So it doesn't end happy in the fact that you see how he became this person he is today, but it also sets up how nothing is going to work out for him ever, which is
I know.
sad. But yeah, I think that opening score by her really does a great job of just setting up this Gotham City. You see Gotham City, you're panning over it, you hear this choir, it's not a happy place. This isn't a happy story. We're not going to go anywhere happy. And as a kid, that was it was scary. It was really scary.
Yeah, I don't really remember it much as a kid. I remember watching it. I can't tell you the first time I watched it. I'm telling you, I rented it one day. I watched it. I think it had a minimal effect on me for some reason, or because I think it was more of an adult film for a kid. And I watched it by myself. And I don't think anything was over my head or anything like that. But I felt kind of detached from it as a kid watching it, if that makes sense. Because there's no the stakes that are in this movie are for the personal character stakes. I feel there's there's some bad killings going on and whatnot, and people are getting in trouble, but it was not like the world is about to blow up, we need Batman to save the day. It wasn't like that. It was like something this was all like personal vendettas, this whole movie, more like a mob movie. That's so it's
that's
interesting.
what it is. It's like that. You get both sides of what vengeance is in this movie.
Yes.
You get Batman's idea of vengeance, which is more justice, and then you get Andrea's
and then
idea
we get
of
Andy.
What vengeance is. Andrea, whatever.
Idea. Sorry, I have to say, because I was watching, I'm like, who's Andy? And then I'm like, oh, duh. Andy get here?
Andrea.
It's like Andy. Andrea.
Oh, your impressions will never cease to be amazing.
They get worse and worse for every episode. So. I can't imagine
what
everybody else is thinking when they hear this.
You're dealing with voice actors here, so it's like they put on a voice most of the time, so it's hard to.
Well, I mean, no, I want to get to this later as we're as we get further along the storyline. But I was saying the voice actors are one of the biggest things that stands out about this movie. So all right, so
Batman
I'm
the
sorry.
Animated Series in general.
I want to get back to where we were in the film. So it kind of opens up with wait, I'm sorry, what was you saying?
We
I was on
opened up
two thoughts
with
there.
the choir, and then we
Sorry,
were
with the
just kind of
choir.
talking about Batman, kind of the difference of vengeance between the two characters.
Yes.
Which we can touch on in the I think later
Right.
on, because
Yeah,
they do a
but
really great job in the last scene of like summing up the difference between Batman and this villain, and I think it's some fantastic story writing. This whole
Right.
thing is fantastic story writing for a children's movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
They put their all in it for sure. The writers, you know,
Oh,
they
yeah.
did.
Not
Yeah.
a second of wasted screen time in this movie.
No.
In my opinion.
Except the whole movie. But but like they have like that first scene is with you see the Phantasm, and I love how the criminal automatically thinks it's Batman, and this is the twist on the criminals of Gotham, where it's not Batman. And like, what a storyline to just come off from, you know, you're probably, you know, yourself thinking like, oh, well, obviously it's the guy that's in the cover of the movie, but it's also just like, you know, it's like, how is this guy different from Batman, like you said? And it's like, what is he trying, what is his motive, and how, and he's just one of the creepiest characters ever made for Batman. Yeah. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I think they do a really good job with that idea of like the two different sides of vengeance, and they also do a good job, I think, more in this movie than any other Batman adaptation, of showing kind of the duality of Bruce Wayne. So there's Bruce Wayne, who very much wants a life away from his obligation of vengeance, and there's a scene later on in this story that is a great example of this too. But then there's also Batman, who's set out on vengeance. So there's those two sides. There's Bruce Wayne, who is the person that is Batman, and he has two wants of wanting this life with a woman and wanting to get away from vigilante justice. But then there's also Bruce Wayne's side of Batman, that he needs to do this. He needs to do right by his parents. He thinks his parents set him out on this path to set out on justice. And I think you get that a lot better in this movie than a lot of like the other Batman adaptations, like the Christopher Nolan Batman. I don't think you really get a deep side of Batman. I think you get it better in this movie than a lot of those other movies.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think they understand Batman very well, from a character point, in this film especially. Yeah, probably in the TV show as well, but they really understand it for this particular story. And I'm thinking back now. I'm trying to think of my fondest, like my fondest, but my earliest memories of this movie. Like, what do if you ask me, what do you remember about this movie? What do I take away? Obviously, the characters being in it. I'm like, I think that's it. That person's in it. This person's in it. But I just remember it being. I think this is what disappointed me about it, and I mean this in a good way, because it makes me as an adult like it probably more or just as much. Now I think Batman is not in it as much as we would hope. I think it's a lot of Bruce Wayne.
It's a lot of Bruce Wayne, yeah.
You know,
you're
it's
right.
a lot of Bruce Wayne. So so we have to like understand that this is going to be about Bruce Wayne and the drama he went through, and this is Batman Begins, essentially, if you remember that movie.
Yeah,
this is the cartoon version of Batman Begins for us. This is his origin story. This is kind of how he becomes Batman in more ways or not. And you know, I think as a kid, I could not understand what was going on. I also think I saw it when I was very young, and I didn't understand what was going on. Not, you know, that's no fault of my own of not being a fan at that age.
It jumps around between
a lot
and the past, and as a kid, it's hard to wrap your head around the jumping back and forth of the flashback scenes.
Yes, a lot of flashback scenes, but I think though too to the power of this movie. When you ask me what I remember going to those scenes a lot, and I remember visually seeing those scenes. So they do work. I remember it to this day, like seeing those scenes. Maybe not processing the same, but I understand that like they were trying to do something different, and they were trying to like really make this like a real movie. So I still hold with me throughout this entire journey of watching this movie as I've gotten older over the years. So
yeah, I agree with you there. It did feel like a real movie.
It's unique. Yeah, it's a unique story.
I agree. And I appreciate
So
it more as an adult. As a kid, I loved it as a kid because I remember
yeah,
it. Um,
yeah,
but as an
yeah.
adult, I appreciate the filmmaking because it's really a great story, and the
And
way
it's a
they
great
made
story.
it is.
Yeah, it's a great detective story. It really is.
Oh,
It's
but I
cool.
love that you said detective because
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like this movie, he's trying to figure out a mystery,
He
which
is
is
the detective
Batman
in this
started.
movie.
Yeah, Batman started out as a detective, and like I think a lot of, and this is my problem with like the Zack Snyder stuff, is that they just make Bruce Wayne this like rich guy with gadgets,
He is
and it
more of just
bothers
a
me.
fighter in those
Yes.
stories. Yeah. I think we haven't got a chance to see the detective side, and that's no fault
Hmm.
of anyone else except for the point in the story that they want to tell. They've jumped way too far into
Hmm.
wanting to get to a certain type of Batman for those movies. I mean,
Yeah.
this is more of the concentrated what we want out of Batman and trying to find it's detective comics. We want him to just be
Yeah.
solving a story, trying to fight against crime. We want to see him stop the Joker, whoever it is. You know, we that's what we want. When we see other films lately, it's like, you know, he's got to be taking down a good guy, or he's got to
Yeah.
be taking down. You know, we've only seen 2 iterations really of that Batman, but well, 2.5 really, because it's kind of mixed with the other one that you didn't see that one, but it's like we said, we didn't get enough time to really spend with him. We have to buy into, based on his character that he's portraying, that we understand what he's already
Hmm.
gone through, and we have to
Yeah.
fill that gap in our mind.
Yeah.
This is just very literal. They give us a
Yeah.
little more backstory, but we've seen him on TV fight and solve crime,
Hmm.
and we know this Batman very well. So
Yes. Yeah. No, that was a great way of putting it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I wish I had said something, you know, I'd written something down, but that was the best I could come up with.
No, that was fantastic. I agree with you, and I think it was great.
So
But like,
anyway,
let's move on. Let's move on in the story because this
yes,
next
I'm
scene,
ready. I'm sorry.
the
Yeah.
next scene I want to talk about, honestly, still to this day, when I'm walking certain places and I see certain things, I like flash to this scene. So the guy's name Bronsky in the cemetery, his death with the Phantasm. First of all, when I was a kid, this scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Second of all, to this day, if I see a giant angel statue of any form, I just like get transported to that cemetery and him getting freaking smushed by that angel statue. Third, that Phantasm theme by Shirley
Yes.
Walker. I think it might be a theremin or it might be synth. I don't know. I think
Okay.
it's a theremin. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I think that's what it is. I don't
It,
know.
there's a Phantasm theme that plays through the whole movie, and it sounds like a
Yes.
theremin. But it's so creepy. It reminds me of Mars Attacks a little bit, which is very Danny Elfman.
It's like that movie might be one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life. But yes.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, and it really scares me. And then you get the Phantasm says, what is it? I'm your angel of death. She says it a lot, but like saying it in the cemetery, and then he gets
Yes.
smushed
With
by an
the
angel.
angels
It's just
being
so
there
good.
and
Yeah. And
um
the fog, all the fog. That scene is so creepy. It really is.
yeah.
It used to scare me a lot when I was a kid.
The fact that she can just appear with that smoke and disappear with that smoke though is pretty incredible though too.
I wanted to talk about the Scooby-Doo antics of this scene because
It is a little Scooby-Doo-ish. Yeah.
there's a is it a shovel or something? There's something in the scene and it breaks and he throws it at her and she like puffs this smoke and it goes through her and I'm like, what is this
I know
Scooby-Doo?
she got some cool Mysterio tricks up her sleeve, basically.
Yeah.
I like, you know, it's a cartoon and it's animated, so we can do fun things like that. And it makes the character a little more menacing in the fact that like she has
Yeah.
these powers, or he or she,
Mhm.
whatever you want to consider the Phantasm to be in it. I don't know. And then, you know, she's just the vessel for it,
She's
you know.
embodying
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
sort of
But like
spirit like being.
yeah. Do you remember it being like that though when you were little, like, or you were young, like, wow, like this thing has cool powers? Like, I don't remember that as well. I just remember it being
No.
just like, I really thought it was like just somebody trying to get after Batman at the time. When I remember seeing this, I thought it was like Batman's like this was Batman's arch enemy, like bigger than the Joker, bigger than anybody. That was like my initial reaction. I'm like, oh, this person can take it down anybody. And then it was just like, no, it had really no business with Batman. That's also is kind of the funny thing about the story.
Yeah. So the story is kind of complicated for a child's head to wrap around.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Her
father
worked with them. Her father worked with the mob, and owed them money, so he fled. And then the Joker ratted him out, and then no, Arthur. What's that guy's name? Arthur Fleck. Yeah, Arthur Fleck.
Yes.
That's sleazy. I don't know
Yeah,
what
he's
he is. Congressman or something.
Yeah, he's just like
ratted
the
him out.
typical jerk that's kind of behind, not behind it, but just not
the Joker
just, like,
killed
kind of pushing it along. Yeah.
The Joker went and killed Andrea's father, and now she's seeking vengeance on all of the mobsters that her father worked for, and
Right.
the Joker, most of all, because he's the one who did the deed. I could not wrap my head around that when I was a kid. I didn't understand, like, this guy in the cemetery was a mobster that she's going to kill. Chucky Saul in the beginning was a mobster, just killing him because of this.
And
I
not
couldn't
to say
get it.
the kids would be, I don't think they were trying to like play up to kids and say like, well, only the good kids are going to get this, or something like smarter kids are going to get this. I just think it's like they just wanted to tell the story they wanted to tell, and it's like, I think kids who really can grasp it will. Kids who won't will eventually grasp it, because it's they're just trying to get the story. Like I said, it's all about the storytelling in this movie. It's not about what is a kid going to react with. So to me, I think that is more of a risk than it was just, like my point is just like, it's more of a risk to do something more adult like that, and do, like you said, I didn't know anything about this movie, I think, as a kid. I really don't remember much. So but like I said, who knows what I was thinking at the time. But yeah, okay, so continue. You were saying, so like, yeah, it's dealing with the Joker, and it was dealing with her father. And where do we leave off with that? You were just saying?
Yeah, no, I was just rehashing the story because I couldn't wrap my head around it as a kid. And that's really, I don't know. Did that scene scare you though when you were a kid? The cemetery scene? Did you
those were, I remember it being very visual as a kid. And I remember more so, I don't really, like I said, I don't really remember too much. I think I must have saw this very young, because I'm trying to remember my earliest memories of any of those scenes, and I'm like, I don't remember any of this. So it was just kind of like, wow, this movie is kind of crazy and creepy. And it's even creepier. Maybe I blocked it out mentally because it was so creepy.
It's possible. Yeah. To me, like, I'm the opposite. It's like I remember like bits and pieces of this movie for being kind of scary, and it's sticking in my head. So like the cemetery scene, and then
honestly, I remember more of the trailers for this movie as a kid, and I saw it only a couple times. So I think those scenes probably stuck out more as I was watching it. I'm like, oh, I remember that from the commercial, or I remember that from the trailer. Especially the part with the planes, that also stuck out to me when they go to the future city place. Yes. That part, especially.
Good segue, because I want to talk about that.
Because that's like the next big act in this movie. Like they're in that weird future city looking thing, and I don't know what they were trying to do.
Like a world. They were trying to do the World's Fair.
It looked like a fun place to go to.
They were trying to mimic the World's Fair. I know that, and something. So the ride they go on. So when they do the flashback with Andy and Bruce Wayne at the fair. Welcome to the house of the future. My brother and I
listening to it yesterday. We were
always
watching. I'm
do
just
it.
Like, man, this I remember though too. I remember the music. It's very unusual choices in this movie for music, and it fits. I'm not saying it's bad, or I think it's great. It's just so
gets
unusual.
Stuck in my head, like till now. Even if I hadn't watched this, because this movie wasn't available anywhere to stream. It's not like I owned it on DVD. I have it on VHS, and then from having it on VHS, the next time that I actually was able to watch it was now that it's on HBO Max.
Right.
But one thing that's stuck in my head, and if my brother is listening to this, he will agree with me. We always used to go, welcome to the house of the future, because that's stuck in our head. It's not even, I don't even think it's said like that, but it's
but yeah, but
in
it's
there.
like, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
I remember those scenes, and I think watching it again for the first time in a long time, I watched it again with my friends. We all like sat down, watched it, like, it's so good, we got to go back and revisit it. And I'm like, yeah, let's watch it. I don't remember any of it. So it was cool to see, but I'm like, it was, pieces were coming back to me as I was watching it. And those scenes in particular were coming back to me. The futuristic rides that they were on that roller coaster city, future city. And then the little planes or something. And then that song. And I'm just like, oh yeah, this is, this is interesting. For those of you who know what we're talking about.
It's the future, but it's like Art
I'm
Deco
telling you,
too.
you could take that music, add different words to it, put it on the background during like a holiday season time, like Christmas or something, and it sounds something like that. It sounds like of that era.
It's just like a jolly like jingle from like I don't know what time period. Like Art Deco is not 80s, 90s, but the show came out in 90s. Art Deco's like 50s, 60s, right?
Okay.
Maybe?
Yeah, sure.
40s, 50s?
I don't know. I'm terrible with time.
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it's just funny because like it's the future, but they're mixing these time periods of this took place in the 90s.
Right.
And it's not.
Right.
Yeah, and the music is there. The jingle is very like 50s-ish.
like that's what comes to mind when I think, even in the beginning, something with that choral remind me more of like a church or something around, like, obviously that's where you would hear that style of music, but it just was just like very gothic, and that's Batman. So I think that's what the point is, with all of this type of music being the orchestral background to the movie. So so that's really my thoughts on the future city part. But I think also, is that the part where he gets like try to get jumped by those like weird dudes? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. So there's a big
chain, and remember the chain going like this.
Yeah, a big fight scene of him before he's Batman, and I think it happens like right after that, because like she's like, "You're gonna meet my father. Are you ready for this?" And like the Bruce Wayne in him is like, "No, I'm a bachelor, and I need to be Batman."
I feel like the Bruce Wayne we get in this, and he's, of course, because he's younger, but it's funny to me because I mean, I watched all of the animated episodes this year, and you know, he's very, I don't want to say different. I just felt like he's a little bit more aggressive. Is that the word? I mean, what is your take on Bruce Wayne? Do you notice a difference in his character in this movie as Bruce Wayne? Do you think he's like different? I always felt like, just watching it yesterday, I was just like, he seems more angry, I think, but that was the point.
In the animated series, I think he's more angry and like less of a like that swinger kind of like more like Christian Bale was more of that like playboy kind of.
I don't know, I just like Kevin Conroy's choices as he's doing the voice acting for him is definitely trying to do something different here in this movie than he was, I feel, doing in the TV show. I mean, that's my opinion. I could be wrong. People think, you know, different what I'm thinking of. But like, I'm like, you know, I'm trying to think of like, what is he like trying to embody right here? And I'm thinking like, he's got this like almost over the top anger. And I'm thinking like, well, he would be. This is him younger, and he's like, he's not Batman yet to have that kind of like centered but yet still angry on the underneath kind of.
I like that you brought it up because it kind of segues into the next scene I wanted to talk about. So after Bruce Wayne, you know, he's seeing Andrea, like they're getting more serious. She wants him to meet his father. And he doesn't know if that's the right thing to do because he knows in his heart of hearts that he needs to be Batman. So there's this great scene. So Andrea talks to her mom at the cemetery. Like that's how she copes. She goes to the cemetery and she has like conversations. And that's how she meets Bruce Wayne, because he overhears her talking to her dead parents. So Bruce goes and does the same thing in the cemetery. He goes and talks to his parents, and he does this great like couple lines about how like, tell me what you want from me.
It's like a monologue. Yeah.
Is this what I need to do? Like, is this what you want? Like, please tell me. Like, Like, am I
he's
supposed
there.
to be
He's there
Batman?
searching. He's desperate for answers, and he's
Yes.
turned only now to his, parents' gravestone for just,
Mhm.
He thinks that somehow being there will give him the permission to do what he thinks is the right thing to do next.
Yes.
So
Yes. And you were talking about Kevin Conroy, who's the voice actor for
right.
Batman.
He's the voice of Batman.
Who, I guess, side note, he voice acted Batman in like a bunch
Juilliard
of Batman
actor, by the way.
stuff. Is he really?
Oh yeah, and
I
he knew
didn't know
Robin
that.
Williams, and he lived with Robin Williams. True story.
Oh,
Anyway.
I didn't know this either.
Well, if you listen to some podcasts with him, he will give you the scoop on that kind of stories. And yeah, he was close to Robin Williams. He knew of Christopher Reeves as well, which is kind of like ironic in being Batman now, and he became Christopher Reeves became Superman. But anyways, this is totally side note, but like yeah, he said he lived with him kind of like it was like a different time back then too. So he's he was like roommates with those people, but yeah, he knew them well.
I really didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyways.
Anyway, yeah, Kevin Conroy. Also, you can get Kevin Conroy's voice on Waze doing the Batman voice.
I can't. By the way, I can't do a Kevin Conroy voice. It's just like
I was gonna ask you to do that, or Mark Hamill.
It's just him like, oh, like I don't know. I would try to just be like, Andrea. No, I like that's like about the best I can get with him.
You need more brooding in there somewhere.
Alfred, like I don't know. He kind of has that like weird kind of raspy, but like I like he's Batman, so he's Bruce Wayne. He knows how to it's his natural voice too, but he has that kind of calm, like low tone. It's really nice. It's a pleasant voice.
But it's also like it's very like growly and like it's growly and like kind of masculine. Like it's down there. Like I don't know. It's very distinct. I mean, like
we can talk about someone's voice all day. It's probably pretty weird, but I'm just saying for this movie, and like that's why I brought up the thing before. It's like I think he made a couple different choices as Batman in this movie compared to the animated series. And like I said, not much difference. I think he wanted a little bit more range as an actor, probably.
Yeah, he was. That's why I wanted to bring up the cemetery scene.
Yeah,
he was able to let go a little bit as an actor.
Yeah,
and he acts the crap out of this scene, even though it's just his voice.
He acts the bat out of this.
I say he acts the bat out of this scene.
But then it's like, and it's like for us as kids, I think we can all say like, I think I was older when I found out like who that guy really was. I think they were like doing the video game for Arkham Asylum, the first one, and my friends were like, he's voicing Batman. I'm like, wait, who is? And he's like, yeah, the guy from the original cartoon. He's like, he's the only good Batman. Like he's Batman. It's like you don't want anybody else voicing him. Like he's doing the video game, and it's like, that's pretty cool. But it was like that whole game was just kind of a really dark take on like kind of based on the animated show a little bit. So and they brought all the animated actor voices.
Yeah, I think Mark Hamill did the joke
for that game. Anyways, like I said, a little more side note about the voice.
While we're talking about quick as a side note, we're talking about voice actors. So the woman who voice acts, this is such a random fact. I don't know if anyone
who is she? Who voices Andrea?
I don't know her name, but the only thing I've ever known her for is she was Josie Wyatt in Tombstone. I don't know if you're a Tombstone fan.
Of course I've seen Tombstone.
She's Josie in Tombstone. She's like the second wife of
I was gonna say, which one was Josie? It's been
Wyatt
a while since I watched it.
Right?
That's Wyatt Earp's wife.
Yeah, but he was married before, and then he leaves his other wife.
Well, a love interest in the movie is what I'm saying. The biggest one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
She plays Josie, and that movie came out the same year that this came out.
So she was doing well. She's finding work, basically.
She also had like a TV show somewhere, a sitcom, but I can't think of her name. I'm sorry. Her name escapes me, and I should have written it down, but I can't think of it.
I could look it up while you're talking, but tell us what you're going to say though about her.
No, that was it. I was just going to bring up the Tombstone thing.
Oh, okay.
Because I love the movie Tombstone.
I didn't know that. That is
but she is Josie in Josie Earp, not Wyatt. Josie Earp, in Tombstone. But something we didn't talk about. I'm gonna jump back a couple scenes really quick, Chris. The scene where Bruce and Andy meet. I don't know if I remember the love theme that they play that Shirley Walker created for them.
Okay.
To me, I couldn't sing it back to you. I can't sing things back, but as a kid, I remember hearing that as a kid too, and and like as an adult, it like brings back memories, and I'm like, that's such like a happy, because that's really the only happy music in this whole movie is that like
really
love
is.
theme that plays between that
it's a
and
bit of a
Welcome
joyless
to the House
movie.
of the Future.
You're the only one who's having a good time. This whole movie is the Joker. Let's face it.
And he's always the only one having a good time.
We definitely have to do a deep conversation on him, because it's just like, well, for all of us who know who does the Joker in this movie is the same one from the TV show, and he clearly just blows it out this whole movie.
And honestly, in Batman the Animated Series, they're just it's not like the Joker is in every episode. The Joker is barely in Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, like, no, and it's clear that
there's more Harlequin episodes, I feel like, than Joker episodes.
So I found out who plays her, by the way, but yeah, I was just like, as a kid, I think he was in most of the commercials. So I'm like, Joker, I didn't watch it as much as I like, but I felt like he was in it way more than I realized. And then looking back on the animated series, like, he's in it a handful of times. Like, when he comes up, it's like, it's a big episode,
Yeah.
It was a big deal. By the way, the name of the actress who plays Andrea, her name is Dana Delaney.
Oh, thank you. Dana Delaney. Okay.
Yeah,
double D. She had a
okay.
TV show as well on TV. It was like her big thing. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
Before we talk more about the Joker, there's just one thing I want to bring up really quick. So, just in sequence of the movie, there is a scene that is a flashback, and I love it. It's when Andrea, it's right after he proposes to Andrea, and then Andrea goes home and they flee. So then that's when he's like, okay. So like he has that whole speech at the cemetery, and he's like, tell me what to do. And then Andrea shows up, and that's ultimately what he decides. He's like, okay, that was a sign. I'm going to propose to her. He proposes, and then her and her father have to flee because the mob is after them. And then that's when he's like, okay, I need to be Batman. So Bruce Wayne's whole thing was he needs to have fear. He needs to make the bad guys feel fear when they see him. So when he puts on the bat suit for the first time in the flashback, Alfred turns and he's just like shuddering at him, and he's like, and I just love that.
Yeah.
It's such a quick
I was going to bring that up later.
Long.
I was going to bring that up later. One of my favorite moments, and it is Alfred when he catches Bruce and Andrea together, and he's just like carrying the plate. And he goes, "Oh!" It is hysterical. That is the funniest thing ever. And he does it twice. Yeah. Well, it happened when they're in the flashback, and then it happens again later, and he's just like, "Oh!" He just turns around.
Like, and then that song, the music is playing, the happy music.
Yeah, exactly. That like big, like, I don't know, it looked like a romance novel basically in every episode. Or every
I'm
book.
like, this is a kid's movie? Because then she wakes up in his room in his shirt, and I'm like, as an adult, I'm like, well, I know what that means. But as a kid, it wasn't like I was like, why is she wearing his shirt?
I know. Well, not even that. It was like, I didn't think about that. But like, just the fact that they would just make that joke of that kind of, somewhat innuendo if they're busy, and he's just like, oh, I love that. But yeah, so I wanted to also bring up, I think, I don't know if I'm skipping around. You said like they had to flee, and he finally decides to be Batman after that. Yeah. And I love, it's kind of a quote of mine when Bruce reads the note, then when she gives back the ring, and he's like, too young. What does he say? He's just like, too soon. What? Andrea? No. But like, and that just basically breaks him and he becomes Batman. So it's like, but
and
I want to talk about the Joker some more, and that character, what's his name? Oh, we can't forget about a famous voice cameo in this movie. Abe Vigoda is in this movie.
Who
plays the dad? You know who that is?
No.
Abe Vigoda. He's a famous actor. He's like an old man actor now. Well, he's been passed now for a long time, but was he in The Godfather? No, he's in some, I think it was The Godfather. He's in one of those big movies. He was a big actor at the time. And he's in Good Burger, but he's also in you ever see Look Who's Talking?
When I was younger, I don't remember it.
Oh, okay. So he plays John Travolta's grandpa in that, I think. And but he's got that voice just like that. Oh, you're the Joker. He has that kind of, that's the dad. He was like, oh, Mr. Joker, what do you want? Like that rusty, kind of like mob voice.
Mob boss
yeah,
voice,
he's perfect for
like
that. So I love
voice.
him, like when he pops up. Yeah, when he talks in this, in his as the dad. So, but back to what I was saying with the Joker. So the Joker, finally confronts that guy, the younger guy. What's his name? The weasel guy that we were talking about before.
Arthur Fleck.
Yes, and remember he goes like, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on what he says to him, but he gives him like some crazy thing, like I don't know. He's just like basically playing everybody, and I love it. And he just comes in like just being the Joker. But like the fact that like he starts to laugh and they have that crazy transition. It's actually
like,
him laughing in the hospital.
Yeah,
man, that whole scene is freaky.
Oh my god. And that's one of the few scenes, like, I remember that as a kid, like, hearing his laugh, and then he's trying to talk through the laugh. Like, Batman's interrogating him through the laugh, right? Like, and he's laughing and laughing. He's trying to compose himself, and then it just goes right back to laughing. And they're like, we need to wait for it to wear off. Like, I remember that as a kid. I remember that scene. I remember his laughing.
Yeah.
Disturbing.
Correction. I'm sorry. I just caught something I was saying before. It's not the dad. The dad. Doesn't the dad die from years ago? But like that old guy, you know what I'm talking about?
Sal.
That's
Sal
what I'm talking about.
Sal,
thank you. I'm sorry. I kept saying the dad. I don't know why I had the dad stuck in my head. But he's like the old guy.
He's the one who has the
tank.
breathing,
That's
and he's
who
always like,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's who I
God.
forgot what it was. Anyways, but yeah, but like, and then they take the newspaper down. You see him, and he's just like, he's the crazy
that guy, and
Joker smile on him. Yeah, because Joker got to him. Oh man, creepy.
Yeah, that creeps me out too.
But yeah, just like the fact that he's like, and he's trying not to laugh. Like, there's some crazy stuff in this movie. Like,
the Joker is more of
it's awesome.
I think they do a good job with the Joker in the Batman the Animated Series of mixing him between that clown persona and like a murderous killer.
Serial killer, right?
Murderer in Batman the Animated Series more than any of the other adaptations of the Joker. Like, Jack Nicholson was more of that like murderer kind of persona, and like they made him kind of a Joker, but like he didn't really fit that clown.
I'm sorry, but he's the closest thing to this type of Joker, Jack Nicholson, or in the original Joker than any other iteration that we've seen. So everyone else has just been a homicidal just freak, like just straight up freak. And there's like a classic charm to these Jokers where he's like, more of a silly kind of Joker, a clown. Like I think you said, just
this Joker though in
zany,
the animated series,
zany,
what helps it, like Mark Hamill does a really great job with the zaniness, but Shirley Walker, and you hear only a little bit of the Joker theme in Mask of the Phantasm, but in the Batman the Animated Series, there is a Joker theme. And when you hear it, it's very quirky and zany, and the Joker's
like
coming.
You hear that circus music playing. And it's like, so you like you associate him as a clown, and he's just crazy killer clown.
I think she has a lot to do with with him being more of a clown than a homicidal maniac.
Yeah, which is basically what the character I think originated as more so, but then it's definitely taken it's been stretched and pulled in so many directions now. And but anyways, but back to what I was saying about but like Mark Hamill was just so terrifying, and I just like how they had him being the bigger picture of all of this, where it's like you want a big Batman screen, film, and you're gonna put this big character that nobody knows yet, and it's like I really thought it's all the mystery about who this new character is, and then taking them down because they're starting all these new crimes and whatever, and Batman's got to figure out the challenges how to take them down, which is partially true because that's what Phantasm is doing. It's going after all the old, taking revenge on all those mob characters, but to have like Joker be really just the one pulling the strings all along, it's so that's classic Batman. You want that.
Yeah,
so they do a great job with Batman.
That. I always felt that they threw Joker in the movie because they felt like it was going to fail had they not had a classic Batman villain in it, which is probably the case. But what they did fit so well for the story that I didn't I don't have as an adult, and I know I don't have a problem with it. Like it fits so perfectly, and it's not like it's all about the Joker. Like he's just a side plot to this whole thing.
But it also gives a little bit more origin to Joker. Like what was he doing back then? It's so cool to see a little bit more history of these characters we've already known. Flesh them out a little bit more
in this universe that this
pointy
show
nose
created.
and he's no white face yet, and the thing like can we figure out that's the Joker right away? Probably, because he gives that same smile and looks exactly the same. But
it's the same guy.
To anybody else would be like, oh, what a twist, that's him. But I do love when he Bruce figures it out in that old photo, and he's like,
and he just draws the
or whatever, and he puts the red marker on his face, and then he circles. It puts the thing, and I just love that laugh you hear behind that as he's doing that. Just whatever, can't do it, but
it's so good. It's movie making in an animated movie. Like it's so well thought out.
Okay. So yeah, and like I said, I think we're kind of coming down to the wire because the music, like I said, it just kind of repeats some themes, but it's just like they finally have that big showdown with the planes again.
The planes and the futuristic planes. Wait, one thing I wanted to bring up with the fight scene is I don't know if this is something that's stuck in my mind when I was a kid. Do you remember when the Joker there's that robot that like cuts the sausage?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I don't know why I always have that in my head of him like grabbing the sausage.
Oh, wait. I have to bring up another big thing about this movie that I think is still pushing the envelope.
What?
The more use of blood in this movie.
Oh, when I was watching it and I was thinking, honestly, I don't remember seeing this much blood as a kid, but there's a lot of blood in this movie.
I think I remember as a kid, that was something that stood out to me at the end of the movie, though.
I think the reason why they did it was because you don't really see blood in Batman the Animated Series because Batman doesn't kill anyone. I think they wanted to make that contrast between this movie and her. And that's
it's pushing the envelope in the sense that like there was blood in the show. I mean, if you go back and watch, there is some episodes like someone cut themselves. There might be blood on his face. So was it more? I think it was more used within one storytelling.
Yeah, maybe
because this is a big film. For from what it was as just a regular TV show length, but also it's just like even the Joker, like he gets pretty beat up at the end. He's got blood on him, and so it's a little bit more graphic.
True.
With things like that they took into account. So yeah, did you ever think about that too when you were watching it? Like, wow, there's way more blood in this, or is it maybe it's just a me thing?
Not when I was a kid, but when I was watching it the other night, I was like, there is actually a lot of. I just watched it recently too, but I watched it again the other day to prepare for this. But I was like, what? There actually is a lot of blood in this movie.
Yeah, I think, except for like, I can think of one movie off the hand where I really saw blood in like a cartoon movie. And I still want you. I don't think you've seen this movie. I think we talked about it the other day, and I would love to do an episode on this. because it's I hold it dear to my heart because I used to be obsessed with it as a kid. Do you know what it's called?
No.
It's called We're Back, Dinosaur Story.
Oh, you brought it up the other day,
John
and I was like,
Goodman
I don't
voices the
even know what
T-Rex.
that is.
We gotta watch. I think you'd like it. I think it would be good. I think it'd be a good watch for you.
Okay.
Anyways, that's my tangent. But anyways, but yeah, but like I said, the blood use was there, and I remember that laugh, like him, Batman holding Joker, and him just going, ah! And I remember that being in the commercial somewhere, like somewhere around that, like that was like, you know, like by the way, the Joker's in this, like
yeah,
in case you want to see it, you know,
they need to stick the Joker in, like
yeah,
hello.
yeah. I think it's important to know that this should be called Mask of Joker. You know, he's really behind the whole thing.
No, yeah, well, he's really not though. Like she really
he's
is
not,
the
but
villain here.
He is there to realize that he was part of the setup and all of this. You know, he had a hand in it.
True.
And yeah.
But quickly while we wrap up, a couple more things I want to talk about.
Yes.
So one, the very last moments of this movie. Well, first of all, the movie ends. One of the last scenes is Andy. Andy gets away.
Yeah.
Batman lets her go, and she's on a ship going wherever, I don't know, away. And her last words are something like to the effect of "I am alone," something like that. And then you cut to Batman being Batman, and he's standing on a rooftop, and the Batman music plays again with the chorus, and it's just like, she is very sorrowful that she is alone because she created this aloneness for herself. She had to become a killer, and then it cuts to Batman, who is also alone, but has triumphed and become this positive icon for justice in Gotham City. And I just love the way that movie ends. And the music that plays at the end of the movie is called Batman's Destiny, which I think is fitting because watching this movie, you know he becomes Batman. There's no doubt in your mind. And also in the story, like there's no way he's not going to become Batman. Like that's his push in life.
Well,
like he's going to be Batman.
Right. Well, he is Batman in this story already, correct?
Yes, because it just flashbacks to him being Batman.
Okay,
but
so I know what you're saying.
I guess it's more about the fact that like
it's not like he didn't become Batman into this movie. We have a flashback of him becoming the Batman, is what you're saying, and then he's going to continue on being Batman.
Yes, exactly.
From now on,
that's
like this is he had one more chance to go back to that if he really could try, and that he finally has now really just has a stamp on it. He's like, I am definitely not Batman. There's no going anymore. This is it. It's either this or I die doing it, you know.
Yeah. And also the realization that this woman that he loves is a stone cold killer.
She's not give up her beliefs. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's a
it's a lot to read into.
More philosophical, and
you don't read. I mean, it's a kid's movie on the surface, right? But I think as an adult, like you see these things, and you're maybe because I'm more of a Batman fan than now, but I think that it says a lot about Batman, and this is why I like Batman. Like this is why he's my favorite superhero comic book character. Like, it's for these reasons. It's for his.
He has layers, and he's complicated. You know.
Yeah. And that's why I love him. That's why I love Batman. Yeah.
What was I gonna tell you? Yeah, I feel bad saying this, and I'm sure people who are listening to this will be like, "Are you crazy?" But I remember being a kid watching this and being it like over my head and being not sure what I just saw, and maybe that was because I saw it at a younger time and I didn't know what the story was really getting to, or I probably did. I just don't remember it. But I think I remember being slightly, I'm going to say this word, but I don't mean it, like almost bored. I don't mean it, but it's like, yes, it's not like a bored, like I can't wait for this movie to end. It was almost like I was so used to my other TV shows. So to see this style of movie where, not to say there wasn't action, there is, but it's at the very end of the movie. It's more of a detective story. There's a lot of time between Bruce and Andrea, and like a love story, a big one. That, like, as a kid, especially, coming from my side, we get more of the love stories in like a Disney movie where it's like, Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin, something, which we still love, but it's not something you expect from Batman. Not necessarily. So I think I wasn't, like, say, I was bored. I was just like surprised, like, when I was watching this, it is kind of Batman's, like, it is more of his romance storytelling, and showing how that has been his drive to, become a certain thing, or, as an adult watching this is what I'm saying. Like, you could see that was his drive to leave becoming what ultimately he becomes, which you said is Batman. So does that make sense at all? You seem upset what I just said.
It does. I just, like, I don't remember that.
You can disagree. That's fine.
Like, I used to watch this movie all the time when I was a kid. I don't remember feeling the same. I don't remember feeling that way.
Hey, that's fine. Like I said, I think I just didn't see it enough to get, like I said, if I own the movie, I think it would be in two different, I have a completely different take on it. I didn't own the movie. So if I saw it, I rented it, and I only saw it a couple times. So it didn't stick with me well. I just was like, okay, that was fun to watch. What's the next movie I'm going to watch? Kind of, that kind of thing. What else was I going to tell you? I'm sorry. I totally just lost my train of thought there. But it was just like, yeah, like I said, I don't hate this movie by far. It's a brilliant movie. And like I said, it was just, that was what I remember taking away from it as a kid, having a different response to it now as an adult. So it's like, I wish I still had what I've learned from it since then to go back and watch it then, and to see my lens as a child with it on, and see what I thought about it back then. So it's a fantastic film for what it is. It was ahead of its time. Compared to what we see now in animated type of TV show, Batman movies and stuff. It's crazy what it's become. This is like the first time
everything
we saw this.
Nowadays, everything is a comic book adaptation. You have Under the Red Hood, you have Batman Year One, you have
well, I think that was my last,
that
was my last point, that I I think that this movie can be hopefully shown to a different audience, maybe on this HBO Max or wherever you can find it now, that people can go and be like, hey, this is an older story of Batman that was more for that age group. This is that generation's group of Batman. This is what this generation's storytelling was like. And it's great. And I think people can be like, this. I think it's like for Batman fans of a newer generation, go back hopefully and enjoy this one. Maybe not. Maybe it's dated a little bit. I hope not. But it's just like, but so what? I used to love watching the Adam West Batmans, and it's completely different. So give an open mind to something like this, to let it be timeless and let other generations be able to watch and enjoy it.
Okay. I think there's a lot of comic book purists out there, like like when the Walking Dead
we're flooded
TV
with
show started,
that's all we have. But
and it's like, oh, Daryl wasn't in the comic books, and like all this stuff with The Walking Dead, and it's like, but like at one point, you need to like let go and be like, well,
this is the best Batman ever.
Still, like this. Honestly, this movie to me is some of the best Batman storytelling, and you have characters that were not in the comic books, so that says a lot. Like, sure, Bob Kane didn't create these characters, but like, get over it. This is great. And like, when it comes to Bruce Timm, like his artwork is iconic. I was reading a Preacher comic. I started reading Preacher. I don't know if anyone's ever read Preacher or watched the TV show, but at the back of one of the books, there's artwork from different comic book artists, and Bruce Timm is there. And I like looked at it and I was like, oh, that's Bruce Timm. His artwork is so iconic too. Like, it's a very different style. Self-taught? Interesting.
Yeah, if
I
you ever
mean,
watch on the animated Blu-ray, he talks about starting Batman up and his visions, and basically not ripping off but borrowing some styles from like what's that famous character, Space Ghost. You know
Space
who I'm
Ghost?
talking about? Yeah,
Like
something
the
about
Adult
that
Swim
character,
Space Ghost?
that style.
I don't
Yeah.
know what you're
So
talking about.
I don't know. We can go a whole thing about that, but I'm just saying Bruce Timm was self-taught, and he said it was his kind of like, it was his gift, but it was also like a curse because you couldn't get him out of his brain of doing things himself, where he was not very almost open to doing kind of something different because he was all self-taught and he knew how to do things just by his own.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, other people would be like, he's so good, but he's also just like, it's also kind of like, you could tell he's self-taught because he's breaking rules as he's making new ones, So, but he's a genius. So what else are you going to expect from somebody who's that innovative,
Yeah. Well, that you have so many innovative, like you have him innovative, and then again, I love Shirley Walker. I think her music in this movie is and in Batman animated series
Right.
is just absolutely fantastic and like totally different. And yeah, she worked with Danny Elfman, and you can hear his influences in this music, but it's also very much her and what she envisioned for Batman. And it's fantastic. Like it's such a fantastic formula of things, and I love still as an adult watching all of them. And obviously, I just painted these recently. Because
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
those are
rewatched
your
Batman the
originals. Those
Animated Series, and
came out great. I love them. Those are great. You
yeah.
should definitely promote them and sell them if you can, if you like, or just keep them right where they are.
Just stay behind me forever.
So basically what I wanted to say, what I was getting to before, is that I really hate this movie. So I found it just to be just kind of like a soap opera for Batman.
Kind of is. It kind of is.
It is. And I think also, but like I said, no, I do not hate this movie. I think that's the point of it. It's something very more adult. And that's the gift for this movie for all of us, to just grow up and enjoy it every minute. And I'm loving, like I said, I never thought I could go back and watch a cartoon show. Yeah, at times you feel it, but you understand what the adults were making for kids and for themselves. Like they were doing this for themselves and enjoying it.
So
So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you're so.
God bless the makers and all the voice actors. Hope they keep doing it for us forever. They're only coming up on probably almost 80 years old. Those guys, I don't know how old they are. Definitely 70s, I think.
Probably like 70s.
I mean, Mark, and at least I think Kevin. So.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a good one. I enjoyed this one. I think I learned a lot from this episode because, like I said, I think there's going to be times where way more than I do, but like I have just a completely different take on these things, and I like that. So I like it. I like it a lot.
But yeah, I mean, I read a lot of Batman comics. I love Batman. I love the MCU. I love Marvel comics. I love Marvel movies, but Batman will always be my favorite, no matter what. No one will ever change my mind. You can argue with me all day, but
oh, I will.
You may be right, but you'll never change my mind.
Hey, I may be crazy, but still.
Yeah. But yeah, I think
can't wait for next week's episode. What are we gonna do?
I don't know. What do you want to do? I know we've been talking a lot of, ever since our Mummy episode, we've been talking a lot about.
I think we should do all the original Planet of the Apes for next week.
All of them.
I can't stand those movies. No, that's actually not true at all. I was kidding. Your face. No, not true at all. Some I don't like, but I like 2 of them out of the 5. How many there?
I don't know how many originals there were. I've probably only seen the first 2.
I like the first one and maybe the parts of the third one. But
I don't remember the third one.
Maybe we'll do that next time. No, I think we'll come up with a really nice one for next week.
Yeah, I think we will.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the next one.
Thanks for listening.
You're
Let
welcome.
us know what you think about this movie. If you've never seen it before, again, and you watched it for the first time, let us know. It's on HBO Max now.
That's where I watched it anyways. I'm like, oh, that's easy.
Me too. It's right there. I still have, Chris and I were talking about it earlier. I have it on VHS still. Chris had it on VHS at one point.
Mhm.
But yeah. Thanks for listening. We're signing off. Your
Wait,
friend
let's
is-
wait. What is that behind you? No, like look behind you. Turn all the way around.
Why am I doing this? What's happening? Oh no. Oh no, he's
I'm
gone.
sorry, I just wanted to do that Batman thing where like, he turns his back.
Oh, and Batman disappeared. Oh, amazing. Well,
when he
on
does.
that note,
All right.
goodbye, everyone.
Sayonara.